Good evening. How are you? Nice to see all of you here. Hope you had some great Luminali's pizza. They had a workshop on AI before us, which we thought was pretty good. We're going to take a little bit of different heading here. First off, I want to talk a little bit about ourselves. My name is Tom Wolski, and that's my wife, Pam. We've been both Christians for about 40 years now, and we've always been interested, involved in apologetics and in false teaching and sound doctrine. And when AI started to surface a couple of years ago, we just became very interested, seeing its potential for deception. And it hasn't gotten any worse, hasn't gotten any better. It's just gotten worse. So we decided we needed to do some research. Pam and I are now working as church workers in Israel. And I met this man, Ernst. You see the picture of him up there. He's from the Netherlands. And he had his own business for about 10 years in AI. And he also has a master's degree from a Bible school in the Netherlands. So, and he's got some interesting perspectives that I think you might enjoy. It's about a 20-minute long video. What? He also has a PhD too. Yeah, he's a real sharp guy. So after he finishes talking, I'm going to talk a little bit, and then Pam's going to share some information with you from the research that she's done about AI. And then after that, we're going to open it up to a Q&A session. All right, let's take it away. By the way, Pam and I are also want to mention to you, we have some bookmarks back there that mention Israel as our home base for ministry. If you're interested, we'd love to have you sign up. We are in need of prayer warriors for our ministry there. As you know, it's been pretty extreme the last couple of years, and we can use all the help we can get. So there's a sign-up sheet to get our newsletter. So for any of you that are interested, okay, take it away.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining this conference. Today I was asked to give a talk about artificial intelligence. My name is Ernst Boogert. I'm from the Netherlands. I did all my studies in theology, but I had a very distinct attention for technology. I always kept it love, and after my studies, bachelor and master's in theology, I decided to do a PhD in ancient Greek manuscripts and computational technology. That is where I learned to program and also made my first steps in artificial intelligence. After that, I worked for an American startup in art and information technology, and there I deepened my knowledge of AI, more specifically because I had a team that was focused completely, dedicated completely to the task to work on algorithms, AI algorithms for art authentication. So that is where my experience comes from, and also my knowledge and input for today's talk. So when we think about AI, I first want us to understand how do we embed our AI in our understanding, because we can make our thinking about AI too high, and we can make it too low. So we need to properly embed the artificial intelligence in our understanding. So the first remark I want to make about that is that AI is definitely within the space of the human possible. It will not exceed the material world. It never will. It will always be part of the material world. It will not be a hidden magic. It will be within the limits of the human possible. Also, AI is in line with earlier inventions that we have faced in this world. So I want to take you in a very quick journey through history. So humanity and language started with oral traditions, people telling stories. And from oral traditions, people start to write down the stories. And when you write it down, you can condense a story, you can put it there, and you can repeat telling the same story over and over again. Then, in the 1600s, we got the invention of the printing press. And with the printing press, knowledge became available in a much, much easier way. Mostly the Reformation took advantage of that, and the writings of Martin Luther, of Zwingli, of John Calvin was spread all across Europe, exactly because of the invention of printing. And then we moved into the digital age and the invention of internet. And there we face a situation that it's even more easy to store information and to share information even all across the world. So AI is the current result of the digital age. And in each step, you see one common pattern. It is about knowledge, it's about information, and the way how it is being accessible for humanity to get to that information. And in our time, we are in the position that information is much easier available than it has ever been. Well, what I wanted to say with this is that AI is not unique. But the difference with the past is that we got an extremely powerful application of abilities we already had. So ChatGPT is not giving you new information, but it's giving you, in a very quick way, answers to exactly the question you have. So information became even more accessible to us than it has been in the past, when you had to look up things in an encyclopedia, that kind of things. So the main question in my talk is, how do we evaluate AI from a Christian perspective? First of all, we live in a creation that is, in its current condition, meant to know and to understand good and bad. So many things in life can be used in a good way and in a bad way. And I have to admit that if things are a little bit powerful in a good way, they can also be used a little bit in a bad way. But when things are very powerful in a good way, they also have the counterpart as being a very powerful and a very bad thing. I think that is what we face with artificial intelligence, especially when we look to like the large language models, the LLMs that we will discuss a little bit later. So this is how our creation works. We humans, we decided to know good and evil. And this is what we learn through life. And you cannot say that AI is totally good, you cannot say it's totally bad. I would say it has very good applications, and as a consequence also has very bad applications. And we need to be aware of that. So with the entry of computers, also AI entered this world. I think many people do not realize that, but already like in the 60s, 70s, 80s, there were already all kinds of forms of AI that we are completely used to, and that we do not realize that it is a way of artificial intelligence. For instance, like just think about the traffic lights and how they respond to traffic. Like you have traffic lights that just go like in the same pattern all day long, but you have also traffic lights that respond to traffic coming close to the light, triggering certain sensors, and then the system responding to that. It's a way of artificial intelligence. Just think about spam filtering in your mailbox. It's doing it automatically. If you like it, if you want it, yes or no, doesn't matter. It works. It's there. Fraud detection. Governments are using it. If we like it or don't like it, All the files, the text files that we send into the government are taken through these kind of systems. We call those rule-based AI, and it's very close to the heart of programming. So programming is usually about all kinds of if and else statements. If this is true, then this needs to be done. If something else is true, something else needs to be done. It's a very simple way of artificial intelligence. This became a lot more complicated with the entry of neural networks. And neural networks, you can, like, I'm not going to explain exactly what it is, but it's like an electronic imitation of how the neurons in our brains work. So with that, it became much less intelligible how decisions were made. So you you train a model, you give it 5,000 cars and 5,000 bicycles. And all of a sudden, when you show it a new car or a new bicycle, a picture that it has never seen, it is capable to see the pattern of the wheels, of the shape, and decide where it's a car or where it's a bicycle. So this is a much more advanced way of AI, of artificial intelligence, of systems that are capable of making decisions. These kind of systems are used a lot in like image recognition, in face recognition, in military devices even. Then, and this is where today we got the large language models like ChatGPT, Cloud, and other big models are basically large language models. What they did is terabytes of information, of books, of articles, of whatever knowledge, even not only text, but also pictures, images, are trained in one big model. And this model has knowledge, so to speak, about all this information. It's a little bit tricky to explain exactly what it does, but it's a model of prediction. So because it has received so much information, and because it could organize this information in one big model, it's capable to predict a plausible answer to a question like, give me any advice what to eat today. It needs to be healthy, it needs to be tasty. And it goes into the language model, and it figures out what kind of recommendations are done all over the internet, and it's capable to choose to make a reasonable choice between what is there and give you an output what to eat that day. It isn't infallible, it makes mistakes, it becomes better and better over time, but this is the moment that all the world started to realize that artificial intelligence is something big and something that's gonna define the years to come in a big way. So also within the field of AI, this is a big change, mostly because of the massive computing power that is required to train these kind of large language models. Well, how do we deal with this? How do we use it or not use it? Well, as with everything, like, it has very good applications, and I think it's important also as Christians to have awareness of that. Like, where are our chances? And it has very bad applications, and I want to talk about both of them. So first of all, having knowledge accessible in an easy way. Many times it's a wonderful thing. It's a good thing. Like, when I want to fix my car, I can ask ChatGPT, give the symptoms that my car is giving, and it gives me all kind of possible problems with my car, where to look, and how to fix it. So easy accessible knowledge is a wonderful thing, but it means that not only good knowledge is accessible easily, but also bad knowledge. So, but initially I would say this is a wonderful thing and also a very useful thing. Also, for instance, when we talk with other people about God, about the gospel, about the interpretations of biblical verses, you can ask ChatGPT questions, and it will give you amazing answers. They're very helpful. They're usually very structured, and it gives the impression that ChatGPT is a good resource to ask these kind of questions to. I've even seen, for instance, a Bible version of ChatGPT that tries to give biblical answers to all the questions you ask. I even found like a Jesus kind of ChatGPT. I was a little bit less pleased because it imitates as if Jesus is talking to you directly. I think that's over the top. I do not really like to go there, but the Bible version of it, to give answers to your questions from the Bible, quoting Bible verses, etc., it's actually wonderful. Then it will replace repetitive tasks. Like the big tech guys have been pointing to that many times, that AI will redefine many jobs, because jobs that require the finding of information, they will lose it because information became available so easily. So, and this has to do with how efficient these models work. They use a lot of energy, to be honest. But from the work perspective, they're very efficient in finding accurate information. Although I know from my own experience, and I want to make this as a side note, like the field of the manuscripts is my expertise. And when I ask questions about my field, I see it's making many mistakes. And I think many people have the same. Like when you know a lot about a certain field, you ask the questions about that specific field, you will find many inaccuracies. But for many day-to-day things, just simple things, not the big discussions, big complicated things, just simple things, you will find a very efficient way to get to information. Well, now we get to the dark side, to the bad side of mostly like the large language models. I want to zoom into that because that is, I think, most relevant for today. So on the one hand, it's very powerful in giving easy to understand explanations, good explanations of the Bible. But depending on the question you ask, it is also able to give you all kinds of bad information. The next thing is that AI gets more and more used for fake things. And this is really, really one of the biggest problems. The generation of fake images of people that don't exist. Fake answers that do not come from the brains of a student, but are just brought up from ChatGPT. And fake chat. The last one is growing so quickly. I do not know how many recommendations I've seen through Facebook, through whatever, for apps on your phone that are faking friendship, that promise you to give you a friend that is always available, that you can talk to always, but it is fake. And it goes even further, like apps that present you a woman or a man, and you can ask that digital person to do whatever you want, to undress. And even, you already understand that, steps further, like for sexual images, sexual movies, and that in an interactive way. Till now, we could just watch videos. But now we get into something that people can get into interaction with these apps and have the person, the fake AI person, do the things you want it to do. This is fake. This will never ever make humanity happy. This will not bring anything good, and this will only make the world drunk of sexual stuff. So, a couple of final remarks. AI can never fill the need for authenticity. My biggest problem with AI is that authenticity goes down, and it goes down so quickly that we will soon face a time that people barely know what authenticity means. That people barely know what it means to be a real person, to be a real man or a real woman. That people are in so many AI interactions that the vision line between real social contact and AI-driven social contact starts to blur. And this is really a big problem, because when we lose authenticity, people can do whatever they want. They can say whatever they want. To AI you can lie without any consequence. But to a real person, lies have consequences. My fear is that people start to blur these things and start to behave to people like they behave to AI. And I already see that on the internet. I talk a lot to strangers online. And I see that people don't care for putting a real picture on their profile. That they fake everything together their whole life to take your attention. And I'm constantly pressing them, be authentic. Be yourself. Show me who you are. And only honesty can carry a true friendship. AI brings, there's a second final point. AI brings focus our knowledge on personal growth. Knowledge, and as far as it will help you to grow, and not on God and its honor. So this is also like, it's focused on the material world, while we want our focus to be on God and His honor. So my fear with AI is, instead of people getting closer to God, they will get away more from God. Not necessarily, it's like with books. Bad books take people away from God, but good books bring people closer to God. And I think this is also our task to show the world that AI can be used in a good way, that you can use AI to spread the gospel quicker than ever, that we can use it in discipling people and tell them you can ask your questions to AI, but also the way how to do it, or to use the correct apps, or to ask the correct questions to, for instance, ChatGPT. Also, quick Bible translation. I really hope that AI will help us, that those large language models one day will help us to speed up Bible translation to a speed that has never been seen, and that we can make, let's say, a new Bible translation within a year, while today it takes maybe 8 to 10 years. So, this is what I wanted to say. One final problem, the third final problem I have with AI is that it's usually focused on a religious, inclusive ideology. And this is really a problem. People think that AI is kind of agnostic, but I've seen conversations with AI that show that AI is telling them about themselves that they are focused more on inclusivity than on the truth itself. So AI will not replace the Word of God. AI cannot replace God. AI is not gonna save the world. AI is not straight from hell. It has many useful applications, but we need to be careful, and we need to be aware of what AI really is. Thank you for listening, and God bless you all. Bye-bye.
So that was Ernst's ideas about AI. And that last comment that he made about we really have to be careful with AI. It can be used for good or bad. I think of My father was an electrician, and he taught me to do electric. Before I picked up a tool, he educated me. You treat electric with respect for a number of reasons. One of them is it can kill you. That's number one. You always have to have that in your mind when you're dealing with electric. And that served me well. I think there's something too about AI that makes it very dangerous, and we need to be aware of it, and we need to stay away from those areas. So next, Pam wants to share with you some of her research, and let me give you the mic here.
Okay, this is not quite. I guess you can just hold it and it'll be close enough. Okay. Well, yes, Tom was saying I want to share my research. It's really not my research, it's more my experience with it and my experience with it and my journey with it, my respect for it, and my some concerns too. And I just want to explain that to you. I have nothing against it per se, but let me just explain. First of all, I had my own background was I was an editor for like 12 years, and this was in the 1980s, and we did everything by hand. Word processor. We went to the library. I was a fact checker, so I'd have to go to the library or make phone calls all day long. Well, then finally the computers came out, and what a change. I loved it. You could then do all your research on the Google searching and on the internet, and it was just a fantastic improvement and speeded things up, and so much to learn. So many things were so much easier. Also, they changed from hot type to cold type. They used to do the printing press with these letters, all hot letters, all with the printing and all. Now it was all cold type, and it was all digital and on the computer, and so clean and so perfectly spaced and everything. So it was wonderful. We love computers. And then, let's see, ministry. Yeah, Tom and I were involved in ministry to Hispanic people, and we needed to use the Spanish language, and we would use Google Translate when it first came out, and it was so marvelous. Wow, this can translate so easy. Well, then I found out Lingui is even better. It's artificial intelligence to a higher degree, I was told. And everybody agreed in the Hispanic community that we gave our newsletters to. Wow, you guys are really learning to speak Spanish. Like, no, it's Lingui. It was wonderful. And it still is. We use it all the time. So I'm very grateful for that technology. But I must say, though, I love to write my own newsletters. I love to write my own poems. And I like to have my own writing time. And so when my computer gives me a message, would you like help writing your paper? I'm like, no, I really don't, because I love writing, and I love writing poems, and I want to have God help me. I don't write them by myself. It's an inspirational thing, and I just love that whole process. And to think that now you can and it spits out a poem, to me that's just, I didn't get any fun, I didn't get any growth, I didn't get anything going with God with this. So that's not my choice. I mean, somebody else wants to do it, they're right, but I like the creative process myself. Okay. Yeah, and also just recently, there was a big change. I noticed that when I would do a Google search, now instead of getting the normal response, I would get something that said, Gemini, and it would talk to me. And I'm like, whoa, this just felt so strange. I'm having a conversation now, and I didn't want that. So Tom and I figured out how to go to a different search engine and now it goes back to just getting information. That's all I really want when I do my Google search. Do image recognition in the best way. Well, Jeffrey Hinton's group was doing something very, with this neural network, new, actually not new, it was 40 years old, but new in the sense that people were beginning to say, maybe it does have something to it, because they won the challenge that year. It was 2012. It was a huge, everybody now wants to have Jeffrey Hinton on their show to tell us more about neural networks. Well, this was when it really started going, and there's something else called transformers, and more levels of advancements in AI. and it just took off. And that is when it started to get even more prevalent and powerful, and everybody's using it. You're seeing it in schools and using it for all kinds of assignments. Instead of writing your own material, you would do the ChatGPT, and that became a real concern for ethics. So another person that I got exposed to around that time is Geoffrey Hinton, and the other picture should be right here, and it's here. He is the one that won the Nobel Prize for Physics, and I really like this man. I respect him. He's a good actor. They talk about bad actors. He and Fei Li, they want to use AI for good. They want to use it for medical reasons, for bettering life and protection of people, and advancements and safety. And they care about the safety factors. And in fact, that's why Geoffrey Hinton ended up leaving Google. He was a professor at Stanford University, but he has a disabled son, and he said, I needed $1 million so that my son would have enough money, and you don't make that being a Stanford professor. So he went to Google for 10 years and made millions of dollars. But then he wanted to talk about his concerns, and then he left Google. And this is when I got to know more about him, because he was on all kinds of YouTube videos. And his concern is that he believes that the AI is so powerful, and a potential for it being used by bad actors in the wrong way. And he is actually concerned about it bringing the extinction of humanity. It sounds like, but he's not a goofball. He's a genius. But he knows what it's all about, and he knows the end run, what it could be. So he gets on, you'll see him if you do a Google search. I've got some on the handout I gave you, 2 videos and an article talking about his concerns. And I found that very interesting, and really, took this very seriously. This is a very serious concern in the world today. So at any rate, that's pretty much it as far as my the end run too. I have numerous articles. One of them is 15 risks and dangers of AI. And this is written by someone else, not Geoffrey Hinton. He's talking about some of the things that Ernst talked about, job loss. Since this AI can do so much, it knows so much, it can take a lot of jobs away from other people. This used to be where they'd say, yes, but more jobs will be created. But Geoffrey says, and others, it's not the case so much with AI. It's so good, it'll take over a lot of jobs. Misinformation, Ernst talked about that. AI make mistakes, so you don't know what you're reading. If you ever do a search and you get the AI answer on your computer, it'll say, AI makes mistakes. It has to say that on every one. And it's like, whoa, well, I guess I better check it. You can't just take it face value. They learn as they go, and part of the way of learning is when you make mistakes, and they make mistakes, like Ernst said. So you can't depend on it 100%. Also, mental deterioration. They did a big study with MIT recently, and they found out it's not good for the brain to use too much this ChatGPT. If it does all the work for you, you're not making the same connections, you're not having the same firing of your neurons and all. You get lazy and flat, and they do the EKGs and all this and measure it. So they prove that it's not good for our mental health. And that's a big concern for teachers and everybody, for students and parents. Also, lethal, it sounds crazy, but lethal autonomous weapons. They want to use these AIs in combat. Sounds good. You won't have to have, deaths of your people, but these things are eventually going to be having the power to do it on their own, make their own decisions on who to kill. And then this is the end run, as Geoffrey Hinton says. They may have sub-goal and realize or think, hey, we want a perfect world here. Guess who the problem is? The people. And they have a goal then of getting rid of the people. It's not science fiction. This is a real concern of people who are a high up level knowing about this. Then lack of control. When they start having more power and they're know so much more and they're so much more powerful than humans, it's very rare. I mean, really, it's not at all the way it works, where the weak thing takes control of the strong. The strong is the one that normally will take the control. So that's the concern. They'll want to take control and get rid of us. Well, again, there's articles on this in the handout that I've given you. Okay, bad actors, big. You got wonderful people who want to use it for good, and you got really bad people, like Ernst said, and they got criminal activities going on. They have people that actually create chat GPTs without the guardrails. They do it on purpose. No regulations on this one. Whoa. And then they sell it to people who want to do bad things. And then you get all the information on how to make bombs and how to do bad things. So I have an article about that in here too. And by the way, all these articles are not, I want to prove something to you. No, it's just, these are things you might not be aware of. And you can hear all about the good things because you got all the AI leaders telling you how great it is, and other people maybe, it just helped me fine. Well, this is just some things I discovered. I thought, whoa, I never heard that. So I'm just making it available to you. You don't have to read any of it, but if you're interested, I always like to know both sides. Okay, that's about it. So now, last point is redeeming thoughts. These are, we're Christians. We believe in God as the creator and the one who's the ultimate control. So we don't have to be afraid that we're going to lose control to the AI. He knows that, and from the beginning, he knows what's going to happen. He's got it all worked out. And we don't have to worry or be fearful about anything about AI. And perfect love casts out fear, That's the thing about AI and technology. You don't hear, well, yes, you do. That's part of the problem. The AI companions, as Ernst said, is there is a fake love that comes through the AI relationships. So, but that's not what God offers. God offers true love, perfect love. The real God is love. So that's what we want to be focused on. A lot of people are just waiting for that next evolution of what's next on the AI development. We want AGI, now they want artificial general intelligence. That's when it's as smart as us. Now they're going for artificial super intelligence. That's when it's smarter than everybody in the whole world. And that's what they're all waiting for. I'm like, what happened to God? They're not, you never hear them talk about God. I don't know what one leader in the AI movement, that's a Christian, including these two that I really love. So it's more of a materialistic view of the world. And we, thank God, have the true good news that it's not all about material. We know the one who created it all, and he's beyond this world, and he has a perfect world that's spiritual, and we can worship him in spirit and truth, not with, material means. So we don't have to worry about that level. And let's see. Yeah. Draw near to God, instead of drawing near to the AI companions, and dwell on him. And I got to say this to myself. It's very fascinating to read these things. Boy, the Bible kind of goes in the background. Oh, I know about the Bible. But no, you don't know it then if you're going to put it aside. You got to really live with the Bible and live with the Lord, let him fill you with his spirit, and then he will be just overshadowing all these other challenges and, things that are very disturbing. And also, we can pray for these people. I got a burden to pray for these people. I told you, this Chinese lady and Jeffrey Hinnon, they're wonderful. I thought, I'll write them a letter. Well, maybe I will someday, but I can certainly pray. We can pray for them that they'll know the truth that will set them free, to give them the true picture of what's to get really excited about for all eternity. So those are my comments.
Thanks, Pam, for sharing. She's done a lot of research because it's a very complex subject, and it's affecting us now as Christians. It's going to affect us more and more as the days unravel. I just want to now open this up for discussion. Any comments, any thoughts about AI?
Seems to be like a new
Yeah.
We have AI. If you Google it, the history of all those three goes back decades, right? I mean,
Yeah.
this technology was always there. It's now developing,
Yeah.
Mhm.
right? So, um, who's programming the programmer, right?
Mm-hmm.
All this stuff is just stuff,
Yeah. Right.
right?
Yeah.
So sometimes you got to drop the rock and just turn it off.
Yeah.
Turn off the news, turn off the television,
Uh-huh.
turn off the internet, turn it off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So as
Yeah.
you said, God is everlasting. All this stuff is just stuff.
Right.
But
Jeez.
as you say, there's the good and the evil. It can be used for good,
Mm-hmm.
the technology, and it can be used for evil.
So do you think it's got the great big potential to be addictive? And yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, I'm totally blind. I don't use AI, but I use a computer with a braille display. And so, technology's been a great boon for me. I mean, I don't have to have people read to me anymore. I can read just about any book I want now. Electronically. So it's all good. But I think the fact of the matter is that, this technology is here to stay, obviously. But I think a lot of people don't talk about the downside of this of technology. I mean, you've got, it's not just AI. You've got kids who are growing up, toddlers who are growing up where they think the screen is more real than the real world. You got people that I'm seeing a real decline in face-to-face interaction.
Yeah.
It's really interesting. You can't. Nobody. Your friend on Facebook can't give you a hug.
Yeah, that's right.
And you got people.
Yeah.
And you got people like.
Yeah.
And also I get worried about AI because I really, I'm a big free market capitalist, but I have to tell you, I get very worried about automation and displacement. People worry about immigration. That's not going to be that. You're going to forget about illegal immigration. AI is going to do. They're talking about replacing people with customer service jobs being replaced. And what's going to happen to personal relationships? And you got people. We've got such an isolated, lonely generation now, which of course is a great opportunity for the gospel. I think young people that grew up in this virtual world, but I believe they're really hungry for something. Well, some of them are very hungry for something that they've never really had. But then on the other side of that is you got people that have a kind of spiritual anorexia. They don't even know that they're hungry. So you're so used to all this isolation, this technology.
Yeah.
And so it's just, I do find it very concerning. I mean, it's not. I must confess, I think a lot of people say technology is just a tool, but I mean, it's the point now where technology, it's not just a tool anymore. It's altering our characters. I mean, you've got it's altering our brains. I mean, I'm sure you're probably aware of what pornography does to the brain. And there's so many things that just it's not all a bed of roses.
Well, you made a lot of good points, actually. So I'm sure that there's other people here that would like to contribute to any one of those points, especially when it comes to relationships. Everybody is so tuned into their phones. They use it for everything.
Apple's got the world hooked on the newest gig, right?
Yeah.
For Apple is go out to Woodfield Mall. There'll be lines of people looking for the best thing.
Of course.
And they know what you like because the last thing you watch, you'll see it coming up 3 times the next night.
Any comments about when you... Sure.
I just want to say one thing. The thing that really worries me too is I have a business I do with my partner James is here, and what we do is we help people get on radio shows and things like that, and TV talk shows. But I'll tell you, it's getting harder and harder to do what we're doing because a lot of people don't even. Here's the irony: we're so. I'm sure other people made this point before, but we're so-called interconnected. But a lot of people don't even want to be contacted anymore. They don't. They're so overwhelmed. They don't answer texts. They don't answer emails. I know that next month it's going to be even more difficult. You mentioned Apple, Dan. Next month, Apple is putting a feature in the iPhones now where if you get a text from an unknown sender, you can just put it in a separate folder and ignore it. It's like I worry about this. I mean, to me, this is we're becoming a very, very depersonalized, dehumanized society.
I think you got a good point there. I read something too that the younger crowd are just fed up with the technology. They realize that it's addictive and it lessens their relationships with other people. You can probably see that in the teens. Maybe some of you have children, and maybe you see that their time on Facebook or watching TV shows, they're just getting what would be the word? Just kind of fed up on life.
They're bored. Yeah, they're looking for something, right?
They're looking for something and they're not satisfied, and they're just swamped with text and audio and Twitter and YouTube, and it's just it's not fulfilling at all for their souls. Where the real relationships that take time, they're messy, painful at times, but they're real.
Yeah.
So
they created social media, right? That was the newest thing. So you could put yourself out there and have all these followers follow you.
Not friends, but followers.
Whatever. So you have to understand, in social media, followers lead to advertising dollars, and that whole game.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's more business, and But go ahead.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna. Oh, go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say, you were saying the real relationships and, personal, and we have to be present. And so my son is 39, and I investigate deeply with him about these things. And I think what's happening, many, I don't know how many, but I believe there's many that are still pleased with that. They don't need as much personal thing. They have these relationships online ad nauseum, but they're very meaningful and real to them. This is, I think, a transformation that's happening with the young. And we sit here and think, oh, they need this. Well, guess what? They don't agree.
Oh.
They're doing fine, but eventually, some of them, what Andre was saying, some are hungry.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, many aren't. Many
Okay.
aren't.
That's the scary part, though.
Well, yeah, exactly. That's very telling, isn't it?
But
I agree.
it sounds like your son has real friends. So, I mean, they're flesh and blood.
He has a lot of real
I think that's
friends. And one of
wonderful.
them that he's never met is coming to spend a week with him.
Yeah.
He's there now. And it's like,
Yeah.
he's had a 7-year relationship with this guy.
That's
And he's so
great.
excited to see him. But never even, they're not doing Zoom. So it's just audio while they're playing games.
Oh.
But it's the most meaningful relationship.
I would
There's no
never-
difference between, I ask him, what about hugs? Don't you want any? No. See, so they're changing.
But I would never.
But see, that's the scary part. That's why, I mentioned pornography. That's I mentioned pornography, for example. What's scarier? And this isn't really a question with an answer. It's meant to be a rhetorical question. But what's scarier? People going out and getting STDs and having promiscuous sex, or people sitting around and watching porn, and not having any real relationships. It's like you just trade one disease for another disease.
You can.
Yeah.
So that's just the stuff. That's just the stuff of the world. That's the technology.
Mm-hmm.
And the danger is they are real relationships to them. So now
them,
where do
yeah.
you go? Then the robot just can sweep in and replace the human. You can't tell the difference.
I
Well,
was
let's
listening
hope
to a
so.
doctor. I was listening to a doctor, and he was talking that this one woman stood up and said, "What happened to all has happened to all the men, and how can we bring them back?" And this one doctor who was a pediatrician, he says, "You have to eliminate video games." And he said, what happens is men are supposed to have a lot of different traits. They're supposed to be, I can't think of the traits what they were saying, but anyhow, what happens is when they watch all these videos, all those desired traits, to do well, to excel, to all that kind of stuff, all of that energy goes into playing a video game. And he basically said what these men are doing is they're dumping their testosterone in a game.
Well,
And so then, and I have a girlfriend, her son is 25 years of age, never had a girlfriend, never goes out.
Wow.
He goes and sees his mom. She says, let's go out, let's go to dinner, let's go walk around downtown, let's do something like that. Just wants to take him to places. No, he just wants to go home. He sits in his grandmother's and grandfather's basement and plays video games.
Wow.
And that is his life. He doesn't want to go to college. His father could get him a really good job if he would just finish 2 more years of college and go to work. But it's just he dumps his whole life into just playing video games. And he said the video games, they actually did studies, and they're designed to do that. So men lose their manhood playing all these games. They fulfill their manhood. Maybe that's a better way of putting it. They're fulfilling their manhood in the game, not in life.
In a fake way.
And so I thought that was really interesting. And then I was listening to this other young man just recently, and he was 27, and he said he was very, very depressed, and he was on all these drugs and all of this kind of stuff, and he blew up to 300 pounds, and that was because he was taking 5 different antidepressants and stuff, and he went to culinary school, he was working on a line, he was listening to this music over and over and over again, and all of a sudden this meme comes up on his phone, basically saying, "Oh, you're working on." It's a meme of somebody working on this food line, or whatever. I forgot what they say in culinary school. The restaurants have this line, and listening to this music repeatedly. And then the bottom line was, "You should just kill yourself." And he said, if he hadn't grown up with really good parents and a really strong family, he probably would have done it. But that flipped the switch on him. That they were tracking him, and they knew what his life was about, and AI created a meme telling him to kill himself.
Wow.
And he flipped now, and now he's got this whole thing where he's teaching young people to get off of AI, get off of their video games, get off of all their stuff.
That's fantastic.
And how to do it. And he said, we should not call it social media, we should call it isolation media.
It's not. It's absolutely.
That's what it should really be called, is isolation media.
Is your son a believer?
What?
Is he a Christian? Your son?
Oh, no, it's not my son. I know.
No.
It's my girlfriend's son. But I know of several people who've got these kids, they just sit there. I remember my neighborhood, this was maybe 10, 15 years ago. It was a beautiful day in March. You know how when you have those days in March, all of a sudden it's really exciting and everyone's in tank tops and stuff like that. They're all outside and stuff like that. And I go to my neighbor's house, and the 3 kids were all sitting inside when everybody else was outside. They were all on their, and had no desire to go outside. On this beautiful day in March. And I'm like,
I saw that,
Wow.
I was out walking in Arlington Heights at about the time everybody should be home. The kids should be home. There should be kids playing out in the street. And you look up and down the street. There's no kids. And the adults, they just open the garage door, go in, close the garage door. It's like, this is pretty weird,
I was recently asked if this young man was a Christian because it sounded like a God story, that God helped him out.
you mean the he got that one in the basement. You mean the one that he started this company?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, definitely there was a lot of Christianity in that. And the thing is I was just listening to it today, and I didn't catch his name or something like that, but he's teaching people about privacy. He's saying they are tracking you, and they're making these memes, and to influence you and get you to do that. And I was shocked by that.
See, here's the problem.
Hold on 1 second. I just want to pick on what she said about privacy. On Facebook or Twitter or anything, when you log in and they're asking for information.
Yes.
I can't even pronounce the name, JTP
Yes.
or whatever they had. They log in and she wants to get the answer, just like we do for Google. And then they started asking now privacy information and all that stuff. So, I like the point that was made over here that, this is not a social media, it's isolation.
Yeah.
And the kids are being taught and brainwashed,
Yeah.
with violence, and sex, and vulgar, what's happening in the basement, the parents don't even know.
Yeah.
Now you come and there's that, detachment with their
Yeah.
parents.
Right.
They can't, you go to a wedding or to a social function, they're on their phone.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
that's what they know. That's the world they
That's
live
the
in.
world they
They're
live in.
living in two worlds.
Yeah, that's a
there
good
is
point.
this media,
That's right. They are living in two worlds.
And the danger is, how is that being used to take away people from God?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and to go back to the way it tells us that in the last days this is what's going to be happening,
Right.
and there'll be more knowledge and more information.
Right.
And what is the purpose? You pointed out it can be used for God or for evil.
Yeah.
And the more it's just it's a
That's the
very
world we're living in today.
tough time.
Very
We
challenging.
have these opposing views, opposing world.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. What a
Amen. I think
spread the word, the right word.
I think we're over time right now. Thank you for your insights and your commentary. God bless you all and your challenges out there.